Hello, friend. Welcome to another episode of the Mount Rushmore of Everything. This week, we are tackling Nickelodeon Cartoons. So before you say, all that, it's not a cartoon. Stop it. This first one, I could not be more confident in by any measurement. It is commonly ranked among one of the top cartoons of all time. It also is tied for most movies from a Nickelodeon property with 3. We'll just say it. It's SpongeBob.
Yeah.
It's got to be SpongeBob. In 2008, they did a ranking of all cartoons ever, and this was number 15. It was the second one for Nickelodeon. Reason non-negotiable for me is it wins in basically every category. So one category to consider, right, is popularity as displayed by how long it runs.
Yeah.
And the reality is it's the longest running Nickelodeon show, and it's still going, and it's the 6th longest running kid show ever. So it's got that. Mm-hmm. Then you got to look at okay, but what do the critics think? And largely, it has been seen favorably by critics as well. So the IGN list, right? Second ranked of the Nickelodeon shows and number 15 overall for cartoons, which again, they were going for, not just popular or whatever. The other thing is cartoons and animated in general has really started the process of it used to be a kid's thing. And now we finally almost fully accepted animated as a viable adult medium. The stigmas started to be erased by more and more adult cartoons, right? So that's become a thing. But SpongeBob was one of those to really drive home the adults and children can enjoy this. And SpongeBob so much so that it debuted in 1999, but by 2001, 1/3 of its audience was adults. So within 2 years, 1/3 of the audience were adults already. So not even counting the I grew up with it, so I still might have a affection for it. No, at the time, 1/3 of the audience was adults. So they moved it to night slots because they're oh, adults love this so much. We got to move it to the night. So it also has that importance to the legacy of cartoons overall that just really puts it over the top of this is
SpongeBob is to Nickelodeon what Mickey Mouse is to Disney.
So SpongeBob, for sure.
All right. I'm going to go with Rugrats.
That is my second non-negotiable.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Look at that. I think that for me, that one, Rugrats, was... I was old enough or older at that time that I wasn't sitting down watching cartoons.
Sure.
But it was so prevalent.
Yeah.
And it was, here comes the word again, ubiquitous.
Ooh.
That... And so where is that cartoon coming from? And I didn't know about Nickelodeon at the time.
Yeah.
And then they say Nickelodeon. And I was like, what? How do you even pronounce that? And this is obviously back in Mexico. But then at my dad's store, we started making Rugrats costumes. He started selling the Rugrats costumes.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more, obviously, because it was a non-negotiable for me. So we've covered both my non-negotiables now. 10th most episodes of any kid show ever.
Okay.
With 172 episodes over 12 seasons. So season count is currently the same as SpongeBob. SpongeBob's about to overtake them. Fewer episodes, but second most for Nickelodeon still. Mm-hmm. And again, that doesn't determine its place in the Mount Rushmore. But when you add in the other facts of first Nickelodeon Nicktoon to be shown in theaters, it was also the first non-Disney animated film to gross over 100 million domestically. Now you may say, okay, but that's movies, not a show. And I agree. But there's a reason why that one was the one to break that threshold because of the popularity of Rugrats itself. It was one of the 3 original Nicktoons that were aired in 1991. And it was the most popular one. It ran for the longest to the point that producers said the golden age of Nickelodeon started with Rugrats. It was also number 1 on kids' TV and helped develop Nickelodeon as the powerhouse it is now. Nickelodeon became the number 1 cable channel due to this show, according to Nickelodeon producers, which maybe they're wrong, but they know the numbers, so I assume that they are right. And also tied with SpongeBob for most Nickelodeon movies, being 3. So for all those reasons, you have tied for the most movies, really helped introduce the golden age, helped Nickelodeon become the number 1 cable network. Note cable before you be
emphasis in
cable network. And then number 2 of Nickelodeon's for most episodes air, number 10 of any kid show ever. With all those things combined, to me it became a non-negotiable because after this there's a bit of a drop off. And After this is where I felt, okay, we could disagree on these last two, possibly.
Okay.
But hopefully you will not disagree with this third one. And it is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Which...
Really? You're going to go with Avatar?
I am going to go with it. Now, the hit against it is that it only had 3 seasons. But it ended with 3 seasons because that is the story they wanted to tell, not because it was unsuccessful and got canceled after 3 seasons.
So they left on the top. At the top.
In fact, I believe at the time the most watched show in Nickelodeon history was the series finale of that show. So they left on their own terms. Okay. So in that way, the 3 seasons does not count against you. It does a little bit, because you could say, well, how important can 3 years be of a TV show?
Right.
Which is valid. But my argument for why it should be there, I'm going to briefly mention Ranker, not a huge thing, but on Ranker is considered the number 6 best cartoon of all time. IGN's list that I've mentioned before, it is the 3rd one for Nickelodeon. It's number 35 overall. In my opinion, it's one of the most iconic series. So when I think of Nickelodeon, when I think of things that have really stood the test of time too, like to this day, I hear people talk about that show. It hasn't aired a new episode in 13 years. It's been given a lot of credit for the narrowing the gap of the kids and adult TV shows. The only well-known and beloved American anime, ? And is widely considered one of the greatest animated ever. By critics have said that. A lot of people feel that way. So Avatar ended up landing on there because I felt that it had such a good combination of nothing but good words about it. Its legacy is truly impressive. It's super iconic. So I ended up going with it.
Okay. It's fine.
All right. Give us your next one. I gathered that. I picked up on that.
I have one that is controversial and one that is, I would say it's controversial. Maybe it's not. But the one that I actually picked is Jimmy Neutron.
Okay.
The quality of the animation, and it's one of the few totally computer animated shows at the time that Nickelodeon was doing.
Yep.
It earned a big following. It was very different, has very iconic characters, and it was a very popular show at the time. So that's my pick for it.
Jimmy Neutron I loved, but I do not have it on my list.
You do not have it?
No.
Okay. I just think that just because he has not.
So is the animation style your big, what to you is that big thing that put it over the edge? Because you mentioned the animation style, which I think is an interesting argument.
As far as the style of the show, it's very iconic, very unique. I don't think there's anything like those characters, or at least wasn't at the time. I still don't think that there is anything in that style, which was very disproportionate. I mean, he has the huge head, and in a huge head, he has this huge hairdo type of thing. And each one of the characters have this unique look to them. Again, computer animated, totally computer animated. And that's another thing that I took into consideration was the fact that I would associate it directly with Nickelodeon. When we had the topic, in my mind, right away, I'm going, okay, which ones are there? And Jimmy Neutron popped up right away.
Sure. I ended up going with one that is also one of the 3 original Nicktoons that I mentioned with Rugrats. It is the highest ranked from IGN of any Nickelodeon show at number 12. On almost any list I looked at for most highly reviewed Nickelodeon show, this was, if not number 1, it was in that top 2 or 3. For the 3 original Nicktoons, it ran for the least amount of time. It only had 5 seasons. The 3rd one, Doug, ended up being renewed after 1995 and running for another 2 seasons, went for 7 total seasons. Rugrats, of course, with the massive 12 seasons. But it's Ren and Stimpy.
Oh, man!
Does that mean you agree?
Yes!
Okay.
So, first of all, when I think Nickelodeon Cartoons, that's another one that I think of that comes to mind right away. It's associated with the brand.
Yep.
And then they had that comedy pause, the stares, and then you just hear that tick 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 tick. But Ren and Stimpy, they just pushed that to the maximum.
This one managed to ride the line well enough for the time that 10 years earlier it was able to pull off the is this for kids or adults kind of thing. which is really impressive.
The style also of the art in it.
Super memorable.
I think
I didn't watch the show, and I still, like, I didn't remember the name, but when I saw it, I'm like, oh.
I don't know if you've noticed that Spongebob, they have those shots, those scenes where they go to a very detailed, almost painting-like shot.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they're full close-up, sometimes they're like these expressions that they put in the characters. And you see that it's not animated, but it's painted. And Ren and Stimpy added that to their...
Oh, yeah.
They're just this still. They take the old 40s and 50s style of drawing and then brings it to their own thing and then make it their own. And it's just so cool to see how they did that.
Let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments what your 4 are. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't already, smash that like button like you never have before, with so much passion and vigor that we can feel it as we record this. Great job. Also hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell if you want to see these videos. We have them every Thursday. We appreciate you for every single time you have decided to watch one of our videos. We really do appreciate every single one of you. Hope you have an awesome week.
There you go.
I respect it.
Thank you.
So...
That's what this is all about. Respect.
Respect.
R-E-S-P-C-T.
That just reminded me of the Office joke. Have you seen that clip? R-E-S-P-C-T.
You can't spell it.
It's funny because that is... Anyway.